Naughty for Rocks the Dark. JC hanging out here, and I'm hanging out with Blake from the band Saul. This is a band you might have saw at RockFest in July. And first of all, thanks for joining me, Blake. How you doing tonight?
Good, man. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad we made it work with the Rock Festival situation and everything, but I'm glad to be here with you.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. You and we were scheduled to do an interview, and all sorts of things happened to you guys, didn't it? Tell our listeners what exactly happened.
Yeah, so we were on the road with Memphis Mayfire and Norma Jean, which was an excellent, excellent tour. But the last date of that run was Memphis, Tennessee. But unexpectedly, pulling into the venue, we actually completely broke our rear axle of our bus. So that being said, we had one day off, and it was supposed to be a travel day from Memphis up to Cadott. But we had to scurry and scurry and scurry. We finally ended up getting some pickups rented, got some tarps bought, and just flew up to Cadott as fast as we could to make RockFest. But, you know, our time scheduled for our interview, some rain was coming in. We had to get stuff tarped, and then you just text me, and you're like, hey, let's just do this another time. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, and I was watching you guys, and I felt bad for you because I'm like, I don't know what I can do to help you guys, but you were just piling all your equipment in as quickly as possible, getting the tarps on, and then the next thing you know, it just dumped rain, didn't it?
It did. It really, really did. We was like the nick of time, you know, honestly.
Hey, let's talk about Saul a little bit. This is the first time you and I have had a chance to talk, and I know that you guys, you and your brother, started this band. What I've read is it was a cover band back in the day, and now it's blowing up to something more. Talk about the history of Saul.
Yeah, you know, like, so we started in high school. You know, Zach and I were graduating, like, right around 2007. So we always did, like, local, you know, stuff. We were, you know, covering Disturbed and Godsmack and, you know, just doing that kind of stuff in the, you know, the early 2000s and stuff and being young kids. And we decided that we wanted to go full bore and really take it on full steam. So we were a three-piece for a long time. I was bass and vocals, Zach guitar and vocals, and then we always had some drummers that kind of came and went. We decided that we were really going to take it on, either like do it or don't kind of mentality. So in 2018 really, we got Will in on bass. We had a drummer at the time, and Zach and I went in, we recorded Brother, we did the whole thing, and then it just took off, and then so we just decided that it was full steam ahead. You know, we quit our 9-to-5s and just went for it, you know.
And it seems like it's worked out since then. Huh? It was kind of that you had to make that decision. Do we want to continue to do this, or do we want to do something else? You guys took the plunge, and things seem to be going in the right direction. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we do this full time now, and like the mentality was before Brother really took off. It was like, if this doesn't take off, we're gonna, you know. We had really good jobs at the time. I was in my second year of plumbing apprenticeship. Plus, I was doing field work and stuff in the fall for one of these local guys. So, we were making good money, and like the mentality was, if this doesn't take off, we're just gonna, you know, stick it out and just do the 9-to-5 thing. And we were all okay with that. We were all, you know, shaking hands like that's the deal. And then Brother just really took off. So we got to, you know, like live the dream. We got to go actually do what we wanted to pursue.
You guys grew up in Iowa. I guess what influences back in the day growing up in Iowa did you have on the music scene?
You know, I grew up listening to like Disturbed and Godsmack, you know, Chevelle. You know, we're from a real small town. I live in a town of maybe 700 people, and Zach is my next door neighbor. So it's pretty much population us. And like, there wasn't a lot of local bands around that we kind of looked up to. We cut our teeth in like the Sioux City scene, which is about an hour and a half from us. And that's just kind of how we went. And we just went and not knowing anything. The local station down there, Z98, we didn't even know we were involved with, but we won Band of the Year and some awards. And we were like, oh, we didn't even know we were like, you know, involved with this. So, I mean, that was kind of our first, you know, break into, you know, the local scene.
And so you mentioned radio, obviously, down there. How has rock radio treated you? And I guess I've talked to a lot of different artists, and a lot of them are really coming out. And in fact, I did an interview with Ronnie Radke at RockFest, and he said if it wasn't for radio, he wouldn't be where he is today. What's your thoughts about radio?
I 100% agree with that. I 100% agree with that, because if it wasn't for, all the rock radio that supported us, I don't think we would have the stamina and we would have the numbers that we have right now. Because when Brother was taken off, it had some legs on it already, like, through Spotify and YouTube and everything. But when it got picked up by rock radio, that's when everything, the ball really started turning. People started noticing us, and everything changed. And that's when we signed to Spine Farm Universal Records. That's when we got our BMG deal. That's when all this stuff, management and booking agents. And so that's really when everything changed.
And the one question I guess I do have is, when all that was happening, we were having a worldwide pandemic too. Did that help or hurt you guys? Did it slow you down at all, or was it actually a positive for you, I guess, in the sense of that maybe there wasn't as much traffic out there at the time?
When we released our debut record, it was in October of 2020, and we wish we could take it back and actually, wait until mid 2020 or 21 to actually release that record. Just because we felt like we missed out on a lot of opportunities. Right before we released the record, we were living off our EP, and we were supposed to be out with Hell Yeah and Butcher Babies and All That Remains, and like this monster tour to support the record and do all this stuff. And then the pandemic hit, and we decided to release the record in October anyway. And then we just couldn't tour forever. And when we went out, we went out with Atreyu and Crown the Empire, and it was just like full lockdown. Don't leave your bus until you're performing. Don't do this. Don't do that. I mean, like, the list of things you could do is way shorter than what you couldn't do. So I mean, like, it was a very tough time. But I mean, we're here now. I feel like the train's back moving. Everybody's back on the same mindset of like, let's get in, let's knock it out, and let's do it. So I mean, it was a learning curve, but I think we're right back on where we were at.
Well, just under 3 years, you released your latest album, which you just released this past Friday. This is it, the end of everything. And the very first track that you've released to rock radio, A Million Miles, doing very well and continues to climb the charts. Let's talk a little bit about the new album, and I guess what went into album number 2 compared to album number 1.
Okay, well, I'll tell you, right off, like, our mentality going in is we're not going to compete with ourselves on the first record. The idea wasn't like, let's not beat ourselves up about, trying to replicate a song or trying to replicate a sound. Let's just go in and do exactly what we're feeling. Let's write the best songs we can write right now at this moment, and let's just go from there. Nothing hanging over our heads, nothing like that. Let's just go in like we're starting from scratch. And everybody had that mentality, and we just went in there with that whole idea of like, let's just blow it up and do it. That being said, the record kind of has a feel of like, we felt so, during the time we were having to do live streams, we were having to go live on Facebook every day, go and do this interviews, you know what I mean? All this stuff over the internet. And like, at the time we wrote a song, King of Misery, we were supposed to be flying out to Hawaii to work with David Draymond. And turns out we had to do it in my garage over Zoom. And it's like, all this kind of stuff kind of built up to like the thought on this record of, sitting so close to somebody now that everything's open and still being on your phone a million miles away. And, that's kind of the mentality of this record, really.
You mentioned A Million Miles, and that song, by the way, as I mentioned, doing very well on rock radio. And, it's interesting, I guess, from the post-pandemic, as you mentioned, everything seems to almost be back to normal now, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I'm so thankful that it is back to normal, because it was a very tough time. I mean, I talked to a lot of musicians about trying to work at that time period and everything. And even if you had the Vax card and we were doing shows and stuff like that, it was still like you were treated like a criminal or something for being out there and doing it. I mean, it was a very, very weird experience, and I'm so glad everything's getting back to normal.
And when it's saying back to normal in the music industry, that means when you put out an album, then you go out and tour. So I'm assuming that's what's now happening, correct?
Yeah. So we just went out. Yeah, we were on the road with Memphis Mayfire and Norma Jean, and we absolutely love those guys. Everybody had the mentality of, like, let's just blow this up. Let's have a killer rock show. It was great. I would do anything for those guys. But now coming up in September and November, we're going to be out supporting the band Red, and we are really, really stoked about that. We just announced we'll be back in Wisconsin actually on August 17th. We'll be headlining the Northwoods Rock Rally as well. So we got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of shows coming up. We're super excited about it.
Yeah, I saw that you were over in Wisconsin for that. Any dates that you can tell us about in Minnesota before the end of the year, or nothing right now?
Yeah. Actually, I'll pull it up on my phone quick just to make sure I have the right one. But I know we will be in Minnesota at the Caboose.
Oh yeah, Minneapolis. Yep.
On November 4th.
Oh, hey, my birthday.
Hey, yeah, I knew that. That's why I said we had to schedule it for this day.
Exactly. Well, thanks. All right, so that means I get front row tickets then, right?
Yeah. Hey, man, you got my number. Just let me know if you want to come. You're on the guest list. We'll just hang out, and have a good time.
I was gonna say I get to be on stage too, but I'm not gonna go that far. I'm just kidding.
Come up and announce us. Be our MC.
Yeah, we could do that. That's definitely a possibility. We could do that. I know we got to get going here because you're a busy guy. I'm a busy guy, but our listeners probably want to know some information about, if they want to find out more about Saul, how can they get more information about you? And maybe you have a merch area where they can purchase stuff too.
Yes. The best way to get in contact with us is saulofficial.com. It has our direct links to all our social medias. And it is a direct site to everything that you can purchase that we have online. We have CDs coming. We have vinyl records coming. Everything is going to be signed, so make sure you get your copy of all that stuff. And when you direct message any of the social medias, the message back is directly from me. So feel free to reach out. Let us know what you're thinking when you're coming to a show, stuff like that, because we always love to chat with you guys.
So you never sleep then, do you, Blake?
I try not to.
I was going to say, if you're individually giving everybody's response, I don't know how you're going to do that once you get really big.
Right. Well, I might have to slow down then, but for right now, I definitely like doing it.
Blake, thanks so much for reaching out to me and getting this interview done. I really appreciate it. We love your music here at 94 Rocks, and we're excited to see what this band can do down the road.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Once again, that's Blake. He's from the band Saul. Their latest song is A Million Miles. You're hearing it right now. It's on The Dark. It's on 94 Rocks.